What's going on, fam? I'm gonna be coming to you with another one. Y'all check this out.
To the Chargers. Our stats and information group put out a couple of notes. In the Super Bowl era, of the 451 teams to start a season 0-2, 4 of them ended up reaching the Super Bowl. That's 0.9%. 93 Cowboys won it, 01 Pats won it, 07 Giants won it, and the 22 Bengals lost it. The Kansas City Chiefs, who many people, including me, pick blindly to always go to the Super Bowl because they always go to the Super Bowl, Sunday face the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in a rematch. Some have said this could be the biggest game of Patrick Mahomes' regular season career. I laugh at that concept. I laugh at the fact that it is even in the notes for our show today. But that said, by the numbers, if they lose Sunday, the Kansas City Chiefs have a 0.9% chance of then getting to the Super Bowl based on history. I set it up properly factually, I think. Are we laughing at this or are we taking this seriously?
Well, Josh Allen had a 0.9% chance at being able to beat the Baltimore Ravens with 5 minutes to go in that game on Sunday night, and what happened?
Yeah.
He didn't.
Exactly. There are just certain outliers that are out there in the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes is the biggest one.
He's a walking outlier.
No question about it.
It's a good nickname.
The rules don't apply to that guy. They just don't. The Kansas City Chiefs can start out 0-4. I'm not going to sit here and doubt that they have the ability to right the ship, to figure out what's going on, and get to the playoffs, go on a deep playoff run. I just have that unwavering belief in them. But I will say this. The season has the potential to get late early for them because this is the 11th Super Bowl rematch that we've seen where the two teams that faced off in the big game played the following season. And it's the third straight year it's happened in the NFL. The Super Bowl champs, the defending champs, are 7-3 in those previous 10 matchups. So if history tells us anything, the Kansas City Chiefs are staring at 0-2. So what do you do as an organization? What happens? What changes are made? You have to have some urgency about going about your business. You can't sit on your hands and just rest in the fact that you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Yeah, we know they're great, but they need others around them in order to be able to do their job at the highest level. And that's my biggest concern about the Chiefs moving forward.
So don't ask him to have such a heavy lift all the time.
Yes.
But if you're sitting in their shoes, you're like, why wouldn't we allocate those resources elsewhere? Because we've seen him do it time and time again.
Yeah, but the allocation of those resources should have an outsized impact on your team being able to have success, and it hasn't done that.
Good point.
The defense got shredded in the fourth quarter by Justin Herbert. He was a perfect 9-9. And then on a 3rd and 14, you got a chance to get off the field, get the ball back for your team. What happens? Justin Herbert scrambles 19 yards for a first down. Next thing you know, the Chargers are getting in victory formation. So you've allocated all of those resources to the defensive side of the ball, and that was the side that let you down. So I'm sitting here looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, and the biggest issue that we're seeing with them is the turnover and players graduating out of their program and the front office not being able to adequately replace them. And so every year, teams go into a season thinking one thing about what their identity is going to be. Then they get faced with the reality that they have to be something else in order to accomplish the goal. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs, with one more loss, in week 2, or would it be at that inflection point where they have to make some changes in terms of their philosophy with the 2025 team?
Cece, what was your Super Bowl pick this year?
I think it ended up being Ravens in the Lions, yeah.
Okay, I picked Bills Packers. You said Eagles Chiefs rematch, right? We both said we're not deferring to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs anymore. Yeah. We both said we are not going to give them the benefit of the doubt anymore that they can get back there. What we saw in the Super Bowl may have been not the outlier, but a warning sign that maybe they're not as close to some of these elite teams. And so many things did bounce their way last year. They had so many close one-score games, but that's what great teams do, right? They find a way to get it done. But Evan, I guess my question to you is, as the guy sitting on the set that picked them to go back to the Super Bowl, at what point would you stop giving them the benefit of the doubt?
Excuse me. I'm choking now. Very emotional here with this. CC just said, I think somewhat intentionally hyperbolic, If they started 0-4, I'm still going to give them somewhat of the benefit of the doubt. If they started 0-4, I would not waver off of my Super Bowl pick. I'm not going to waver until they're eliminated. Then I'll waver. I'm going to play the result. Like, I just can't do it because my assumption is they're going to figure it out. And it's not like I don't have a body of work to work off of with this. 0-1. Okay, bad loss. If they're 0-2 and they lose to the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, am I going to write them off with offense? A Sunday night game against the Giants the next week? Well, now we're back to 1-2. Right? So now we're right back to 1-2, and who knows what happens after that. So I don't feel comfortable writing them off until they're eliminated. And I understand the question is out there now as to whether or not attrition has caught up to them, whether or not they need to make it into that second wave of a dynasty, so to speak, like we saw in New England. I just am not going to write them off.
I'm not going to write them off either, but I will also acknowledge, as constituted, they're not good enough to get back to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Okay, that is likely correct, but here's the other part of that. As constituted. Do you believe this is the constitution of the team come trade deadline?
No.
That's the point.
No.
So we're watching a team that will not exist in late November. The group we're seeing, and we will see against the Eagles on Sunday in the Super Bowl rematch, that group will not exist in late November, how we all see it, right? So this is one of these teams that probably looks at the first month of the season as preseason.
But what type of moves do you expect them to make? I know the Tyreek Hill acquisition is out there. That's been floating. But how many
it's important to mention that.
Well, I guess here's the question. How many moves away are they? Are they one big acquisition away, or are they 2 or 3 small ones away?
I would say 2 or 3, but let's bring that up because I've said that a million times. There are accusations right now of domestic battery against Tyreek Hill. I'm not going to comment. Obviously, none of us are on what happened because we don't know. These are allegations. The Kansas City Chiefs voluntarily trading for him, theoretically, or bringing him in with ongoing allegations could be a dangerous place for them. So that thought process, as I have said, as CC agreed with, of, go out there and bring him back because him under your roof is different than under other people's roof. I think we have to take a step back on that. I think that's a dangerous place to. What, are you going to trade for a guy and he gets suspended?
Yeah, and I'm with you on all of that. I'm with you on all of that.
Truth.
I'm just going to take the domestic violence allegations out of it. If they were to trade for him and he would be available, that changes how I feel about the Kansas City Chiefs.
So that one
would be the one move that changes how I feel about their season.
That's a unique move, because it's someone he doesn't have to learn anything, and he plays at a high level. So
he's still the fastest player in the NFL with the ball in his hands.
To your question, if you're saying 2, 3, 4 people, if it's people that have never been there before, it's 2, 3, 4. If you're telling me there's a high-level player who can be an all-pro caliber, who's been there and done that, and he shows up on a Tuesday and he can practice on a Wednesday without even looking at the playbook, that's a different story. Mm-hmm. That's just like a guy who was out the first few weeks of the season who knows the team. I don't know if there are other guys. If all of a sudden the Bears fall out of it and they're like, let's get Joe Tooney back. Well, that's a different, he's been there, offensive lineman, like going to be a Hall of Famer, won 4 Super Bowls. You get the point. If it's a been there, done that guy, that's different than, all right, we have to, like DeAndre Hopkins, personality-wise, great. Like, he didn't do anything of significance. He didn't know, it wasn't there long enough. I'm not ready to write them off. Has attrition caught up to them? Maybe. Is Sunday important? Yes. But as CC pointed out and Smalls pointed out, are we really going to say they're not going to make the playoffs if they start 0-2? We're going to say they're definitively not going to make the Super Bowl because of the 0.9% because they're 0-2?
Yes. If this is the team that they're rolling with.
That's a good way of saying it.
If this is the team that they're rolling with, they're not going to make the Super Bowl.
If Brent Veach, their general manager, and Andy Reid sit there and pass the trade deadline, this is the team, no problem with that.
Yeah.
No problem with that. All right. That's a team that